it's tough. It's hard.
Welcome to the Industry Insider, brought to you by PromoCorner. Each week, promotional product professionals Meg Erber, Jeff Franklin, and Stephen McFadden, along with special guests, will discuss industry news, trends, and events with a focus on educating the promotional products industry. The Industry Insider, the nerdy news you need to know.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Industry Insider, your promotional products podcast where you get all the nerdy news you need to know about, but clearly out of practice here. I'm Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Hidware USA, and I'm joined today by two other lovely folks, a rose between two thorns here. But look, this brought to you by our good friends over at Greater Pacific, and they're your full-service creative agency, and their experience comes from the experience of thousands of custom projects completed for clients for over 2 decades with expertise in promotional products and the advertising specialties industry, custom OEM and project management, CPSIA compliance, product testing, and full-service logistics. They've done it all and become more and more effective with every opportunity. So Greater Pacific creates the ultimate manufacturing experience for their clients. So go visit greaterpacific.com today. Tell them the Industry Insider sent you. Well, we're in person today. It's a little bit different.
It's weird.
It's nice, actually.
I don't know where to look on
I know, because
I'm
it's
like, do I
opposite.
look at you? Do I look?
Yeah.
I will say, though, if you're at the Promotions East show, you can go visit Greater Pacific in person. They are actually out in the foyer. So definitely stop in and see them and tell them that we sent you over.
And while you're here, you might as well see Hidware and SNS Activewear as well.
I mean, you know.
And you can always come and say hi to me. I don't have a booth.
I actually can't believe Meg asked there for a second.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
But like, you know, where are we?
Wow. All right. Well, we're doing a live episode, obviously, because we're at Promotions East, and very excited that we're together and in person. And you know, I know we did the Promo Horrors intro, but it's only because it's October. We were supposed to be joined today by John Cudahy, but he's too busy for us today. You know, I mean, he's got like this small show to run and
Yes.
stuff. So, you know,
Whatever.
But yeah, so you know, maybe we'll get into a promo horror. I don't know. Maybe we'll have Stephen maybe briefly talk about something. You know,
Sure. We'll figure it out.
But all right. Well, first of all, Promotions East. So, you know.
Well, we're live-ish from the show. All right. Yeah. So we're pre-recording. Actually, we're all in my suite, which is really nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. But yeah, so day one of the show is today. You're going to be seeing this on day 2. But I'd love to hear, Stephen, your feedback as a distributor, and then I yours as a supplier, and I'll tell you my experience. But Stephen, what do you think? Like, how was it the first day of the show?
So my only other experience in Atlantic City was when it was the other show, the other East, right? So that show I think had a lot to improve on as it was. I mean, there's the convention center. It was just old. It just felt old.
Yeah, it is.
And so coming here, I was like, I hope it's better. I think it's going to be better, and it is. It's way better than it was prior to. I think there's a lot of improvements.
The FOMO worked out a little bit for you last year?
FOMO worked out a little bit. I mean, I sent my scouts out. I'm like, tell me how it is. So, you know, when I first walked in, I was like, oh, it's decent size. And then I realized there was a second floor. And I was like, okay, all right. Yeah, not bad. There's good representation. And I think it only will grow. You know, I think as more and more suppliers and distributors continue to go and talk about it, it'll just keep getting better.
Well, you know what's amazing is that last year it really was only just the top floor. And so everything you see on that bottom floor is all complete growth from the year prior.
Yeah.
Because last year the downstairs was the experience.
Yeah, last year the plan was to kind of combine all the experiential booths together, but there just wasn't enough. So we put them on the bottom, but no one really knew about them because nobody was down there visiting suppliers. So this year we killed it with registration. So we did have we were able to mix in the experiential end caps, 2 on each floor. But before we get into that, you actually, so this is the first year in the history of Promotions East that we added an end user component. And you actually, and so when this airs tomorrow, we'll be there with 3 of your end users.
Yeah.
Now, Stephen isn't local, so he actually flew in 3 of his top clients to this show, which is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to have this whole, you know, when we're at Harrah's versus the convention center, everybody's here. You know, you have the incidental run-ins at the dinery or the eateries or on the convention show floor. And it's just really neat. So you're bringing them here and you kind of wow them with this beautiful location. I mean, my hotel room is gorgeous. It's actually, I can have, we're having meetings
like
in
this,
it.
Meg.
Yeah.
All of us have rooms just like this.
I hate her so much.
So, you know, it's funny. So the thought, you know, when you told me that it was end user, I'm like, okay, do I have anyone local? And I'm like, to the show that would make this really easy. And I did, but they weren't the right fit. I mean, like it wasn't, I don't know that it was going to be the right customers to bring to the show. And so then I was like, all right, what are some big projects that I have? And I remembered, I'm like, there's some Q4 projects that we spend probably thousands of dollars in samples because we get super nice items and we send it but they want to see a lot of variety. I'm like, why don't we just spend that same amount of money and bring them to the samples? So that's the hope, and we're going to see how it goes. I think it's going to go well, and it did change how I do a trade show.
Yeah.
Because today, the pre-record day, I was spent trying to figure out, okay, who do I want to take them by? Where do I want to go? Like, how am I going to map this out? And then I had a little bit of time after. I'm like, okay, now let me go back through this and like look for myself a little bit. But yeah, I'm excited. I'll have to report back on that.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and you kind of get to impress them. Like you flew them in. I mean, it's Atlantic City and all, but you get to impress them with this trade show, and like a couple hundred of your closest friends here, trying to
and
the product at you.
You can never explain what we do well enough. Like I think that's always been the challenge in our industry, especially as a distributor. You find. You know, Jeff, you've mentioned this before. If you think you have this much, you know, X% of their business, you're still missing this much more because there's so many product categories and things they just don't think about you for.
That was my biggest shock going from the distributor side to the supplier side, because there was clients I knew I had maybe not 100% of their business, but damn close to it.
Yeah.
And then I came to the supplier side and I saw like literally 20 other distributors in the area that also doing work with the same end user. I'm like,
yeah.
But it makes you realize how big the industry actually is, and that there really is, you know, a piece for everybody.
I'm curious to follow up on this too, because I'm wondering if the companies that I picked out for them are going to be the same places that they want to stop.
Ooh,
right. You know, so like I have in my head, like my go-to people for products. But who knows? Like they could go buy a booth that someone that I may not have stopped at before or know, and they like their product. And I'm like, oh, I've just never shown you that because I didn't think you'd be interested in it. So I think a follow up on this would be.
That'd be cool. I'd be interested to see that as well. So the first day of the trade show was actually all education, and we kind of did it a little bit differently this year. So you didn't have anything to choose from, but we did education on every day. So the first day was jam-packed. We had like every industry rock star there. We had several panels we had something on branding and AI. And one of my favorite panels was the one that Stephen was actually on. It was the next generation of promo. So we had 5 panelists, and I think three of the 5 panelists all are second generation promo people, okay, including Stephen. And then you had Hallie Moore from PromoCorner, Morgan Corey, you know, everyone knows Paul Corey, so you're a second generation there. And we also had Taylor Borst and Abby Clark. And then we had JQ as the moderator. And it was such great insight, and I just really enjoyed that panel.
Hold on. So you said Taylor Borst. But
Yes.
didn't we just have her last week? And she said she was the first person in her family that was.
I said 3 of the 5, and she was
Oh,
one
okay,
of the
3 of the
2 of the 5
That's
that
nice.
I
month.
missed that part. Damn it, I thought I caught her.
He was really just trying to get me on something.
I thought I
Oh,
caught
go
her.
catch her later. She'll say something.
Something, I'm sure.
So is this like the largest end user experience that an end user would actually be able to ever get in our industry? Because I don't think there's ever been anything bigger than this.
No,
right?
and this is the biggest show on the East Coast, so that's definitely going to be the biggest end user opportunity. I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not obviously tapped into all the other regionals, but this is the largest regional show as it is. So even if they were doing it, it wouldn't be like this isn't bigger.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's stories of people who've brought people to some of the big shows, but and we know that happens and that's out there. But this is the one that's, at least as far as I know, the largest one that's advertised.
I mean, I always considered the Promotions East and prior Expo East being like the second largest show in the country. And then there towards the end of the years where, PPI was running it and it was, joined with ISS, it sort of dwindled down to the point where you kind of had to toss that up between some of the ASI shows and, which one was bigger. And it probably wasn't this one, but now it definitely, I think, is sort of reclaimed some of that former glory. So, I mean, if this is the second largest show in our industry, the fact that it is open to end users tomorrow only is a pretty awesome experience to actually be able to bring a client into, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I think some of the ASI shows are probably a little bit larger still. Orlando, I would think, and possibly Chicago, maybe, but it's still larger than most of like the hotel shows or
It's definitely bigger than that, for sure.
I know some of like the buying groups as well. They have some of their private shows. Some of those are pretty large, but they're again not end user friendly. So it's impressive. I think it's going to be cool to go back through it with different perspective. So
that'd be cool. I'm interested to get the feedback on that afterwards. But from the supplier standpoint, very similar to last year. It's very busy.
I was so busy. And I would say, I don't know about you, but one of the main things that everyone was talking about was sustainability, which to me, I've never had that opportunity at a booth. For almost 70% of the people that I talked to, they were like, my customers are really pushing for sustainability. They want all this reporting. They want this, they want that. And I don't know if it's just me, because I know that that's what I'm passionate about, but I was having those conversations with so many people, which it actually was a perfect segue, because I was doing some giveaways in our booth. And one of them was a brand new legacy hat, and it's fully sustainable, all recycled product. But what we try to do at our booth, I'm all about engagement and experiential. And I don't want to just throw a pop-up booth and call it a day, because I think that's totally lame and kind of shame on the suppliers that didn't really go out of their way to do anything. Your booth was really nice. No, your booth was nice.
Yeah, but so here's the only defense that I would give to the people that aren't doing what we're doing, is that the drayage costs more than the show itself.
Yeah, I will say that.
This convention center is ungodly with how expensive.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's literally more to ship the booth in, and not even to ship the booth in, just for them to handle it.
It's union, so they have to, and that is a big complaint.
Disgusting.
It is, it comes with the.
I would echo. It's probably because this is a really new show for a lot of people too. So I think that there's going to be a lot of folks testing the waters to see, do I want to go from a 10 by 10 to a 10 by 20?
That happened last year. We had a lot of people say I did a 10 by 10, but we actually increased the floor space by about 15% this year of booths sold. But so back to that sustainability story. Sorry, what we did is at our booth, we don't do any decorating. SNS is all blanks. So what we did was I partnered with stalls, and we had some people pick up the samples, either that hat or a T-shirt, take it down to the stalls booth, so they could talk about different decoration techniques, different imprinting methods, and show them how it's done. And I think from an end buyer's perspective, that is so valuable, because as a distributor, you just get it done. Right? You just get shit done. I remember the first day I walked into the plant at Jetline Promo, and they were printing Frisbees, and it was literally one at a time. And that blew my mind. I was like, I thought it was just like all done at once, like magic. I don't know, literally one at a time. And I was just blown away. So I think it's really good for the end user or the end buyer to see what goes into printing a T-shirt, even though this is just a heat transfer. we can at least talk to the apparel, we can talk to the product itself, and then they can see how the decoration is applied in different decoration techniques. And if it's not something that you're already offering your client, it really opens their eyes to the possibilities. And I'm always, preaching about decoration. We're in a branding industry, and it's very taboo to say to somebody, nobody wants to wear your logo. A lot of times they don't. So we can talk now about being different and standing out and using different decoration techniques or different methods or locations. It doesn't always have to be left chest or front and center. So I had a lot of really good conversations today with people. And then for it then to be reiterated at another booth and have that option to be able to do it themselves, I think it's really neat. But I would love for your end users to come by tomorrow and just check it out and see it. And I would love to hear their feedback on it. Really.
How's it been from you from different years of exhibiting?
In what regard?
How was it for you from the
conversations?
Supplier side? Yeah, is it?
Oh, like I said, I mean, it was very busy last year. Like I said, I mean, a huge leap forward in the right direction from previous years. Going from Expo East to now Promotions East. Now it's back with SAGNY. Was hand over fist way better last year, and this year it's improved upon. I mean, just the amount of space that's been sold, the amount of people that have come through. I still think a lot of people treat the show like a one-day show, which is, I think, for me, the biggest struggle, because there's so much more to do outside of just the trade show floor. So it's sad that if people are just coming in from New York or from Maryland or from wherever, and they're coming in and then leaving that same day,
they're not getting everything out of this.
Experience.
Not at all.
But I will say, I mean, for the time that they're here, it makes the trade show floor seem packed, and so lots of conversations. I will say, sort of a counter to what you were saying about the sustainability. We didn't have a ton of people, like you were saying. A large majority of your conversations were eco-focused, but there were a few people specifically that came through, and that's like all they wanted to do. And so it was good.
Yeah, it's really good to see that people are actually thinking about it. And the biggest advice that I give to people, because they're like, some people want to get into it, and they're like, I don't know how, I don't know where to start. And I tell them, you can't just go out and just start selling sustainable products and be trustworthy. You have to build that into your brand story. So that is something that you guys are interested in and looking to do, and starting to go that route. You have to incorporate it into your brand story. You have to actually start walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And that goes from, down to the products that you're selling, to your practices back home in your community and in your business. But yeah, I really feel like people are starting to be more aware. The buyers are becoming younger, and this is stuff that's very important to them. And on the flip side of that, most of those people weren't young distributors. They're actually, our age or older, which was really interesting.
That's something that actually did come up in conversation today. Joe Hoffman came by the booth.
Yeah.
We were talking about the demographics and how, looking around the trade show floor, it seems like things are maybe shifting a bit. We are seeing, a little more diversity in the trade show floor, which was really nice.
Yeah, I will say that I did see a lot of that as well.
It's not, just a bunch of,
old dudes.
There's plenty of
two carts. I saw 2 carts, and one of them was John's.
Yeah.
2 motor carts.
And that's not fair.
Oh, I mean, look at me. Look at me.
Surrounded by gimps. I don't know if we should, seal ourselves,
space ourselves out.
And,
We had the best band, and I hate that I can't even pump it up for you guys because it's going to be after the fact when you watch this, but last year was amazing, and I'm really looking forward to it. The only problem last year is that it was too short. It was 2 hours long, so we lengthened it a little bit. But yeah, I think I showed up a little late trying to be cool last year, but I'm definitely not going to this year.
I probably will show up late because of the dine around. You guys did do the dine arounds again this year, which I'm super excited about. I wish there were more distributors participating in that, but do you know how many groups there are this year? It has to be a lot more, because they selected me to be a group leader. Okay. The only way that's going to happen is if there's 100 groups. So
no, you've been doing this a while. I don't know. It's not something I signed up to do, but just because I have so many other responsibilities, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go out to dinner with a couple people tonight, and then going right to the party.
Plus, your private chefs coming into this.
I mean, I have a whole bar over there for them to just whip up some sushi or something.
Listen, if Cudahy wasn't too busy for us, we could have asked him. How many groups that they had for the dine around, but super excited for that. That was a great time last year, and I remember that was one of the things that I hyped up the most because it really is. It's a very unique experience that usually you only have in like a national sales meeting or something like that, where it's sort of that forced interaction. And maybe it was just Dan Edge from Peerless, was our group leader last year, and he is incredible icebreakers and really good conversation on top of having a really good group of folks. So I actually ran into him last night at the Speakeasy.
I was gonna bring that up actually. We almost forgot about that completely.
And so I ran into him and I was like, Dan, they put me in charge of the group this year. And he was like, you want my questions, don't you? I said, I do. I do.
So something that we did a little bit different here this year, it was kind of like, it was mysterious, right? We wanted to create a buzz, but we transformed one of the education rooms last night after education into a speakeasy. We had decorations, we had music, we had alcohol, we had food, but you didn't know about it.
I don't think you could really call it a speakeasy.
I know. I mean, we do what we did, what we had, right? We're at a trade show. We are in a casino. But
I will say I was a little disappointed because I was expecting it to be like an actual speakeasy. I was like, oh, that's going to be awesome. And then,
then it wasn't. It sucked.
Then I found out, no, it didn't suck. It was good. I wasn't very disappointed. I was just a little tiny disappointed.
Like, what were you? So, I mean, we had the karaoke already planned. So originally we were going to do something else. I'm not going to.
Yeah, Dave Schultz wants to murder you, by the way.
Why?
Because you were using very outdated karaoke equipment.
First off, we were trying, not on me. That was from the rental place. Yeah, they were CDs, which was actually funny. Oh, I just totally spit.
Sorry, it's just my computer.
It's just his computer.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, the whole idea of the speakeasy was to, bring everyone in that came in on Monday night and give them something to do. So we had these little invitations that had the speakeasy, password required, and the password was live at the Concord.
It was
also, or Legends Live at the Concord.
Mine wasn't.
It was on all of them. I made them.
Mine said join something or another.
So that was the code. That was the code underneath of it, and the code was the room, the time, and the date.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So it was the same invitation. I made them.
It's over your head, I guess.
I don't know. I shouldn't have been there apparently. I didn't know about it.
But they still let you in. So that's
we did.
That just tells you the code didn't work. It wasn't.
And it could have gone. It was hit or miss. I was actually very worried because I'm like, did we make it too mysterious where people won't be able to find it? But it actually created a buzz. People were talking about it. People were asking about it.
It was actually very packed when I got there.
It was packed.
I heard that it was not quite as packed. Because when I was still at dinner, I called.
Oh yeah, we switched. Yeah, when I was leaving, you were coming in.
Yeah. So he had said that it wasn't quite as packed. It could be better. And then when I got there, it was packed. I couldn't imagine you being able to fit any more people in there. So
yeah. So and it was fun, and it was just it was something different that we decided to do and kind of pull everyone together and keep everyone at Harrah's and just a networking opportunity. I had a lot of good conversations with friends that I hadn't seen in so long and new people that I had never met, only virtually. So we had the speakeasy, we had the show tomorrow. Tonight's the pool party. What else? Are we missing anything else? Tomorrow's the end user. I can talk about stats real quick.
Well, Stephen, from your experience or from your viewpoint, is there something else that a distributor would need to be able to fix more than a one-day show?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think that expanded product in the booths is something that I think can be improved upon based on what I've seen so far. And I think it's just primarily because most of the booth spaces are smaller booths. And so even some of the bigger brands, I have seen some of the bigger brands that have expanded some of their space, but it's almost like you need like when you go into like a supermarket, right? There's the anchor stores and those are still really big and the other ones, kind of fill in. Even the anchors are not as big as I think you would need it to be.
Okay, that's
bring
good.
in. So I don't know what that looks like. Obviously, I'm out of the planning side, but if it's
I feel like that's still product driven though. So I think that's like if you're coming into this show I know for you it's different because you got to fly in and do all that stuff.
Right.
But if you were local to something like this, would you just do the show in one day and then leave? Or how would is there something else to keep people?
I would, because I don't think that right now from product perspective enough that will keep me
for the next day.
like it doesn't take me as long to go through the show. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
So if I can go through the show too quick, then I don't need to book a night in the hotel, and I don't need, especially if I am close enough to drive. I think it's really close to being there. So I think over the next year or so, as more and more people come,
and the more we grow,
or not even like more people, just bigger displays, more experience stuff, more things spread out. It'll take you longer to get through the show. So then you're like, well, since there's an after party and since there's a speakeasy and since there's a pool party, okay, I'll finish the show tomorrow and I'll stay the night. And, I think that's what it will take. And I think you're fighting history too. Like,
we've done a lot to kind of reverse that. That's what we've been working on, really. But
All right, Meg, what's the nerdy news?
All right, nerdy news stats. Okay, let's see what we got. Hold on. All right, so distributors, pre-reg only, about 1,500. Suppliers,
That's up from last year.
Yeah, supplier personnel, about 500. End user pre-reg is not very high, so we only
if you
have.
say 3, then it's just going to be me.
No. We're about 60 right now.
Oh.
Yeah, suppliers totally up. We're 15% from last year, and square feet we're at 22,800, which was a 15% increase from 2022. So this show is definitely growing.
It's definitely larger than any regional.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. So, and what was really neat is that ASI was here and PPI were here. That is like the biggest form of flattery. And then they don't, they're there, they're checking it out, they're interviewing us. They were, Chris Rubo from ASI was over, and he was just so blown away by the fact that he was going to go over there and be able to print his own hat. And like, he's not an end buyer. You get it? So he's in this industry, but he's not jaded to it yet. You know what I mean? And it was just really neat for him to see that. And hopefully he gets an opportunity to talk about it. So I'm really excited. But that was something that was just really, really neat for me.
All right, Stephen, 2 minutes or less. What's your promo horror?
All right.
I didn't have one prepared. Okay, so all my promo horror stories are very long, but I think I might have shared it here. Have I ever told you the biggest mistake of
Look, I know the screen keeps going off, but it's leave it to Meg's room to be the one without.
I know.
It's always it's
something.
Always, it's always Meg.
All the granite and light fixtures are interfering with the
I know.
Largest promo mistake I've ever made in the solution with it. So we printed a banner. They wanted it to say now leasing and it to go like 14 stories on the side of the building.
Okay.
It's gigantic. I mean, 100+ foot banner. I typeset it. I send it to them. They approve it. They send it up the chain. They approve it. Send it back to me. We print it. They get it. They unroll it. They love it. They put it up on the building. They're standing back and admiring it. And someone from housekeeping comes out, looks at it, and they said, "Why does the sign say now leasing?" It was LEASINING, but because it was like oriented this way, your brain was just not catching it.
Oh no!
And so like, get it off the building because it's like right by this major highway, and so they got it down, and of course they called me like, "Whoa, we all messed up, like not just you, but like everybody messed up."
Yeah.
And so we found a local banner printer to just cut it. We cut the IN out, they reseamed it, they put it back in the building about 36, 48 hours later.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So, but yeah, that's the largest, not financial, but the largest mistake in promo.
So I had a similar one actually. I forgot until you start saying it. So I'll make this really short and sweet, but it was for my in-laws actually. So they sent me the artwork. I proofed it. They approved it. It went into production, printed it. They get the sweatshirts and they say that the phone number was wrong on the back of the sweatshirts. And it was a huge order, like several thousands of dollars. I was like, oh my God, everything for my in-laws for their business.
Okay.
Yeah. It
was like a family reunion?
No. It was for their business. And I was mad because it like everybody proofed this. I don't know the phone number. I know their cells, but so what we did was it wasn't the nicest thing, but it was that order anyway. So what we did was we just I sent them back to the decorator and they printed they reversed it. So it looked like it was like a reverse imprint basically. So they put like a white block over the number, white, whatever color, and then had the color of the shirt. So it was green. They printed it in green, the actual phone number. So it wasn't a total loss. I was like, I
Good
can't.
solution.
Because when you're a small business and it's just you, and like that's gonna come out of your kids' lunches, you know what I mean? And it was very scary. I was a brand new distributor, started my own company, and my in-laws are giving me a shot, and I just screwed up their sweatshirts that are going out to all the workers and everything. But lesson learned.
All right. Anything else for Promotions East before we wrap?
No. And then just next year, sign up early if you want to be part of the influencer campaign, or if you're a supplier and you'd like to get into our end caps, definitely reach out to myself, John Cuddy, Michael Reesbaum, Charity, anyone on the committee or board, and we'd love to help you.
Cool.
That's it.
All right. Well, this episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Greater Pacific. They are the direct manufacturer of custom OEM products, selling to the promotional products industry with 27 years experience, specializing in over 10 product categories. They can source and deliver most any product for you. Greater Pacific is full service sourcing product and managing every aspect of production with staff on the ground in Asia and utilizing their time-tested 20-step project management protocol. No need to worry about quality control, product safety, CPSIA compliance, or the hundreds of details related to custom manufacturing. Greater Pacific oversees every aspect for you. Their global logistics team and in-house customs brokering ensures timely, seamless delivery, and this is how they provide the ultimate manufacturing experience. And it's backed by a claim with a 30-day product guarantee on all orders. Head over to greaterpacific.com to learn more. Tell them the Industry Insider sent you. And until next time, guys.
See ya.
You should have been here if you weren't.
FOMO.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of PromoCorner's Industry Insider. For more great content from industry thought leaders, including podcasts, blogs, and videos, visit PromoCorner.com.